There was a time when Hera loved Zeus. A genuine love. A true love that was as real as the sunrise and the sunset. There was a time when Hera looked at Zeus with unwavering affection. After the defeat of Kronos, when the Olympians had been set free, when they began to establish themselves, she remembered the day that she stood by Zeus's side, when they agreed to make him king. Zeus took Hera's hand. The words that he spoke, they were sweet like honey, soothing to the touch. Words that were etched in her soul. For Hera, she was smitten by Zeus. And the same. She believed that they would give birth to a mighty family. A family that would rule with honor and prestige. A family who would be able to sit among the other deities, their own culture to be etched into the world. And for a time, that's what they had. For a time, the gods of Olympus were looked upon favorably. But everything changed. Zeus began to wander. Not just to the women of earth, no. Anywhere that Zeus could find himself a mate. Hell, it wasn't uncommon for him to bring a devil woman, an angel woman, a fallen into their bed. At first, Hera, she tried to see past the discretion. At first, she tried to believe that maybe, just maybe, it was a lapse in judgment, and that her beloved still held an ounce, a modicum of decency for her. After all, she was his queen. Of all others, she was given the position of Queen of Olympus. But Zeus, no. The Zeus that existed now was far different from the one back then. If you asked for a god who was vain, you would find none more vain than Zeus. None more egotistical than Zeus. None more nihilistic than Zeus. None more condescending than Zeus. None more full of themselves. None more driven by their own pride and selfish ambition. No, Zeus was truly a god of all gods of Olympus, because even for Ares, for his insatiableness for war, it paled in comparison to what Zeus could do when angered. For the love that Aphrodite showed, it paled in comparison to the level of love that Zeus had for himself. When it came to the brightness, to the sun, to the feeling of music and laughter, none could compare to the shine and radiance that Zeus gave. Yes, Zeus encompassed everything and then some. He was truly a god of gods. For their pantheon specifically. Zeus was larger than life. Zeus was one of one. Zeus, oh Zeus. In time, Hera grew to resent her husband. That resentment grew to a point where she could no longer keep it inside. Even when she tried her best to be as committed as a wife should be, she found herself speaking sarcastically to Zeus. And Zeus did not care. No. Because for Zeus, everything revolved around him. The world revolved around him. He always walked with his chest puffed out, believing that everyone envied who he was. He wore the finest of robe and attire. He only ate the best of food, drank the finest of wine. He was a man. No. But maybe yes. Why call him a god? In the end, he was no different than man on earth. What reverence or respect could she have for him? A god that would so callously steal his sons' wives. A man is what he was. And maybe that was disrespectful to man, because even man showed themselves to be more competent than Zeus. Of course, Hera was no saint. She strayed as well. But if she strayed, it was because Zeus is the one that pushed her. She did not have as many of mortal affairs, but she tried to build something special. She tried to build a meaningful connection. She once met a man on earth, a nobleman. And well, Zeus did not take too kindly to that. She once met a king who was wise and kind and brave. And Zeus did not take too kindly to that. But she remembered the last mortal who she gave her heart to. A man from humble means. He was simply a poet. Not that his words gained him much fame, but that did not matter to Hera. This poet, when he spoke, they did something to the queen's heart. It got to a point where she found herself lost in his words. The beauty that was this poet's soul. How could she not fall in love with him? True, genuine love. The love that made her do something that no one else ever could. It made her question if she even wanted to be the queen of Olympus. But Zeus was a callous god. Vengeful. Jealous. What he did to this poet was worse than what he did to the nobleman, worse than what he did to the king. He tortured that poor soul in excruciating and agonizing detail. But in his final breaths, despite all of the pain, despite the humiliation that Zeus put him through, the only thing he spoke of was his love for Hera. In his dying breaths, he apologized for the pain that he must have caused her. The pain of loving her. When Hera heard those words, as he screamed his sorries to her, to the heavens, when Zeus watched as his life was disparaged from this earth. Whatever amount of love and respect that she had for Zeus, it died. But of course, this was long ago. Long even before Zeus had come across that Julia. But Hera never forgot. Even when Zeus tried to make it up to her, she never forgot. Even when Zeus would pledge his undying love for her, he never came close. The rage that Hera felt, it was enough to start a war, and she did. And she was prepared to let Olympus be split in half. She was prepared to give everything she had to destroy Zeus. And God knows, if common sense had not prevailed, the war of Olympus was one that almost saw the death of the gods. But it was only at the last moment, when cooler heads would prevail, that a level of peace and decorum came over them. A war that split the family, a war that did irreversible damage on both sides. Even though they all sat together, they ate together, they played together, they were never a family after this. It was just a matter of everyone keeping their feelings behind closed doors, knowing that someday, those feelings would get out. That someday, all of that pain and hate and vitriol would burst like a dam that broke. And these waters could not be stopped. That was today. The day that she had planned for. The day that Zeus would die. She hardened her heart. She didn't care what it took. If she must sacrifice all of Olympus for her freedom, she will. So much so that she turned to help from one person. The one person who could help her in this moment. She felt her presence. "Does it satisfy you?" the voice said. "Does it please you to see him suffer? Do you wish for him to die?" "Mother Earth," Hera said, "you have come. I have always been present," Gaia, Mother Earth said. "I was present for the fall of my beloved Uranus. I was present for the fall of my son Kronos. And now, I will be present for the fall of my grandchild, who will also be struck down by his son. A vicious cycle. Perhaps this is the fate of my family, that a father would strike down his own son, or that a son would take the throne from his father. Perhaps this is my penance. You do not blame yourself," Hera said. "What is happening to Zeus is the will of fate. But it's for the best." As they had agreed, Zeus's death would bring everlasting peace to Olympus. For so long, the Titans and the Olympians had been at war with one another, two powerful factions. And while the Olympians had been in control, the Titans were always ones to scheme. Zeus knew this, and he made the necessary preparations. But what he couldn't have foreseen was that Hera could hate him so much that she would team with the Titans to seek his death, or at least what remained of them. For the Titans who hadn't already died or been locked away in the prison of Tartarus. Now, for Zeus, he faced the full hate of the Titan armada and the rogue gods of Olympus. Zeus would shield Assia as he engaged in battle against the Titans of Kronos. First, the Titan known as Thanos, the Titan of the North, who wielded the sacred gear, the gauntlet of Tartarus. A specially made gauntlet, a sacred gear that had the ability to pull from the power of all those who were locked in Tartarus. It was a sacred treasure that Zeus thought he had hidden away, but it seemed Yami had done a good job of finding it and selecting the proper wielder for it, the Titan of the North. Then there was Hyperion, the Titan of the East, the Titan of the sky and of the sun, a Titan who did not need to use a sacred gear or a sacred treasure, for his natural bound strength and might were all that he needed. The same with Oceanus, the Titan of the South. And finally, there was Atlas, the Titan of the West. His weapon was made for him especially by Gaia, and it was known as the Axe of Gaia. This specially made sacred treasure, a battle axe that only Atlas could wield to its fullest extent. For you see, this axe had power equivalent to every foot that Atlas was at size. To briefly explain, in his base form, Atlas stands at around 6 to 7 feet tall, meaning that the battle axe had the strength of 7 tons, 1 foot per ton. Now Atlas had another ability, that he could grow himself in size, all the way to 100 feet tall, his max limit, and thus the battle axe would reflect his size. If Atlas were to truly reach the heights of 100 feet, then he would hold a battle axe that contained the strength of over 100 tons. And finally, there was Yami, who wielded the scythe of Kronos, made from a specially formed mineral on Earth, a rare kind hardly found, known as adamantine. The scythe that had been used to kill Uranus, the scythe of his grandfather. Zeus would wield his strength, the lightning bolt in hand coursing through his body as he shielded Assia from the onslaught of the 5 titans. "So, this is the best that you can do," Zeus said to Yami. "You've gone through the trouble of finding your grandfather's scythe. But let me be the first to tell you, you're not nearly the fighter that Kronos was." Yami would only grin. "I don't have to be as proficient as grandfather was. I only need 1 strike to kill you." Wielding the power of the gauntlet of Tartarus, Thanos would jump into the air as he delivered a devastating double-handed axe slam to Zeus, knocking him into the ground, as Atlas would grow to 50 feet in height, smashing the ceiling of the palace as he raised his axe to bring it down onto Zeus. Oceanus would begin to use his power over the waters of the earth to flood the room and to try to drown Zeus away. The Titans were attacking in coordination, all while Assia was continuously being shielded by Zeus. Even in his old state, even in his fragile mind, Zeus was still the king of the gods, and his power reflected that. For Hera, she started to grow worried, and Gaia could feel her unease. "What troubles you, my daughter?" "Zeus's power. Even on the brink of death, how is he this strong?" "My child, you underestimate your own abilities. He is the son of Kronos. As much as I despise him, he reflects his father's strength. Do you think that Kronos was easily defeated? No. I should know, I was there. But you don't understand. Despite everything that you all threw at him, even though you managed to deal a critical blow in defeating him, Kronos did not go down so swiftly. Zeus reflects those traits, as now, even at the end, his power is still something to be feared. For Rheus and the others, they tried desperately to get in, but the barrier was keeping them locked out. Rainier and Akino would use simultaneous attacks, using their lightning to try to break through the barrier along with Rheus and her crimson strikes. But their combined efforts were not enough. Azazel would arrive shortly after, as now he was privy to what was going on. Azazel, Rheus would say. It's a full-on coup. A coup? Kiva said. Yeah, it seems like Yami is up to his own tricks. And apparently some of the gods have even sided with him as well. But what does that mean? Zenobia said. You mean to tell me that the overthrowing of Olympus is happening right now? Yeah. And Asya? She's still in there, Rhea said. This barrier, we don't have a way of getting past it. Right. Azazel would begin to work on a way of undoing the barrier. Azazel, what are we going to do? Akino would ask. We need to save Asya, Rainier said. Come on, let's see if we can break it. Konako and Rosvisa charged up to full strength. Kiba and Zenobia preparing to strike at it as well. The moment the barrier is down, we need to get Asya and get the hell out of here, Azazel would say. I have some help working on a way for us to get out of Olympus. Once we do, we need to reconvene with Surzex and let him know what's happened. The coalition's going to have to get involved. The coalition, Rhea said. We don't have a choice. If Olympus falls into enemy hands, they become an instant threat to the coalition that has already been in force. But that could lead to potential war, Zenobia said. A war with all of Olympus? With what remains. If Yami is the one who's in control, any god that aligns with him are going to be seen as hostile. Zeus was already in the process of joining the coalition. Even though he hasn't officially, we would be obligated to stand by him. That means we will have to fight against those of the rogue regime. I hate to say it, but it looks like war wasn't averted after all. I'm going to have to even call Volley and the others from their mission for this. The second war breaks out, it's going to be all hands on deck. But where's Issei? Rheus would ask. I don't know. I haven't been able to get in contact with him, but I doubt it won't take him long to figure out what's happening. And when he does, he's going to make a beeline for this area. Zeus found himself on the back foot. The Titans were continuing in their push, and he knew he couldn't hold out for much longer. Creating a diversion, he would move to Asya, buying himself enough time. Asya, my dear. Lord Zeus? I am sorry. I'm terribly sorry to have to do this to you. I know that under other circumstances, you wouldn't want this burden. And it's a shame that I must now force all of my hopes and dreams onto you. But you are the only one that I can entrust with Olympus at the moment. There is no one else. What do you mean? Zeus would place a medallion in Asya's hands. A spark of lightning traveling from himself and into Asya as the underground passageway would open. This leads to the catacombs under Olympus. Using it as a guide, you'll be able to find your way to the outskirts. Once you do, reconvene with your friends and get somewhere safe. But what about... There's not enough time. I'll buy you as much cover as possible. But Asya, you have to go. Please. You're the only hope for Olympus now. I know it's not fair. It's unfair that I must lay the burden of Olympus on your shoulders. I know that you are a kind and innocent soul, and I do not envy your fate. But please, allow me to make this one selfish request. Zeus clasped both of her hands. Please, protect Olympus. Lord Zeus! Zeus would push her into the catacombs before destroying the entryway. As the walls would break down and the Titans followed, Zeus turned to face them. Are you done hiding, old man? Yami said. You wanted to get her out of here. That's fine. She was none of our concern. It's only you. Before you die, there is one thing I need from you, Father. The Master Bolt. It's the key to Olympus, is it not? Do the right thing and hand over the inheritance to your rightful heir, the firstborn. Allow me to carry the dreams of Olympus. You damn brat. You think that I would hand over Olympus to you? That I would ever entrust the dreams of Olympus to a spoiled child? Why are you making this difficult on yourself? You know you can't win. You're outnumbered, you're outclassed, and you're outgunned. Face it, you have lost. At least if you surrender. If you show me this gesture, I will show you mercy, and I will allow Olympus to continue to exist and to thrive. Not only that, but look at what I've been able to accomplish. I have joined together the Titans and the gods. Together, we can form a new Olympus. Your time is already past, Father. You are not long for this reality. Allow your death to be the death that merges and forges a stronger Olympus that will reign for all eternity. I am the dream of Olympus. You are the nightmare, the curse, from the day that you were born. I know that's what you've always seen me as. There was a time when it was just you, me, and Mother. You showed me this mountain, and you told me that I would carry on the dream. You made me that promise, and you will keep it. Now I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. You will give me my birthright, and you will fall at my feet. I may fall. You may kill me, Yami. But you will never have Olympus. Are you mad that I deny you? Good. Let that anger boil inside of you. I hope that it eats you alive. As long as my legacy lives on, as long as my spirit continues to burn, Zeus said. Storm clouds beginning to bellow all across the palace as crackles of lightning formed around him, spewing from both of his hands. I swear, in the name of Olympus, of its future, of its prosperity. I swear to you, Yami, you will never have Olympus. Now, you want to see the power of a god. I will show you the true power of a king. The king of Olympus, your king. You're not my king. You are my obstacle that I must overcome. Then what are you waiting for? Zeus! Yummy! The Titans would clash against Zeus. Gaia would shield Hera as the palace would be destroyed. Rheus and the others watching on horrified. By the time that the battle had finally settled, Yami was floating in the air. And on the end of his sight, skewered through, the corpse of Lord Zeus. You don't have it. You gave it to her. I told you. You will never have Olympus. Yami would throw Zeus off of the scythe and onto the rubble below, as Gaia would stand over him. Hello, Zeus. Gaia. Gaia would be joined by Hera, Athena, Aphrodite, Apollo, and Ares. So, you stand with her then? For the good of Olympus, Father, Athena said. This is for the good of Olympus. This will unite us. Your death will be the key to that union. Please, don't make this any more difficult than it needs to be. In that moment, a loud revving of an engine could be heard. The view of a black skyline, adorned in flames, leaving behind a streak of fire and destruction behind it. From out of the car would merge a being made of fire, a skull that was set ablaze. The barrier would be let down just as he made contact with it. Zeus couldn't help but smile. Well, things have gotten more interesting. Who is he? Gaia said. Allow me to introduce you to Issei Hyodo, the spirit of vengeance, the Ghost Rider. Ares and the gods, Yami and the Titans, they all stood together unified before Issei. Rheus and the others calling out for him to stop, but he ignored their pleas. Where is she? I was wondering the same thing, Yami said. We need Asia Argento. She has something that belongs to me. If you even think about laying a hand on her, you'll what? You think that I'm afraid of you? Yami said. You will be. This concludes High School DxD Spirit of Vengeance. What if Issei was the Ghost Rider? Season 5, Part 6. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that is to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned tomorrow evening as we continue with High School DxD Spirit of Vengeance. What if Issei was the Ghost Rider? Season 5, Part 7. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.